Welcome, Key. For those of you watching, Key is a machine learning software engineer at Airbnb. And today we are going to be decoding machine learning interview prep, machine learning interview questions at Faang. We're going to talk about the coding rounds, the system design rounds, what skills recruiters look for in your resume, everything machine learning. All right. So, Key, the first question is, I keep hearing that if you want to hire less software engineers, just hire a few more ML engineers. So what is is this true? If it's true, why is it true? And why is there so much of buzz around ML engineers?
Thank you for inviting me here, and super glad to be here to do the interview. To the question, I feel like especially when during this time when the some of the tech companies are having hiring freeze, and some of them are having layoffs. In a hard time like this, you see some of the companies are still not stopping hiring more machine learning engineers.
Like Meta,
yeah. So I think the situation are kind of true, and I think the reason is if you look at some of these decisions that the companies are making, more and more are driven by machine learning models. Mm-hmm. So taking our example, taking our case as an example. So I work on the trust team of Airbnb, trying to build a sort of defense line to protect the company from potential monetary losses due to fraud payments and fraud transactions. A lot of these decisions were made previously by some heuristic-based rules. Like we used to have a fraud knowledge graph, and we do a lot of business rules around that fraud knowledge graph. And now, because of the model, the performance is not so good, we have quite a bit of fraud, false negatives, false positives. So now the whole organization is trying to make it more a machine learning driven problem. And when you look at Airbnb is still a relatively smaller company compared to the Faang companies. If you look at the volume, it's not just someone go ahead and build a model and then start serving it. It actually requires the end-to-end, where do you get the data and build the model, and of course eventually you have to serve the model online, and that's a serious engineering problem. So during the whole end-to-end process, I feel like that's why more machine learning engineers are getting hired.
So if you're a software engineer who's not done ML, who's never, how do you, at what level can you enter if you have some experience? I see. If you want to just shift into an ML role, what is the right level to enter at?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of unfair if you're already a L5, L6 and you get down level just because you want to do more machine learning. And some people might be okay for doing that, but personally, I feel like that's kind of unfair because you're already. So I was thinking, for most of the cases, you would like to look for a matching sort of transition if you're L6 and then you want to be an L6 machine learning engineer. And I mean, apparently there's a lot of preparation that you might want to do, but I feel like if you want to sort of transfer, internally transfer, it's going to be a much smoother transition. Like I said, if you look at the whole process of building a model, there's a lot of especially the upstream, we have a lot of data pipelines, take care of the data. And then we have a lot of model serving where you need to have a lot of knowledge on the back end and build the scalable online serving infrastructure. Yeah. So I feel like for those type of roles, a more general or full stack software engineer will have no problem transitioning into these positions. With that said, if that wasn't a internal transfer, if you are just converting from a company to another company and you're a software engineer, you want to be a machine learning engineer. I feel like you're still if you are like senior or above, like 05 or 6 or above, I think at least you're aiming for L5 or above if you have a couple of years experience, because I think what decides the leveling is really not the skills that for the preparation. We can do a lot of preparation to prepare for a good skill set. What defines the leveling is in the past, what kind of projects you have been doing, what were their impact, what were the scope, how do you manage the team inside the team, right? So I feel like it's still it's kind of unfair for if you're already in L5 and you get at that level. Yeah.
All right. So talking about skills, Ki, what are the skills that a recruiter wants to see on a resume? What do they really look for when they're shortlisting resumes? For ML roles. So what should someone highlight in their resume while they are applying for ML roles?
Yeah. For like recruiters, I think they are mainly looking at the keywords, because they probably review hundreds of resumes like a day. So
so what are these keywords, if you have to state some?
So for the skill set wise, the keywords will be like machine learning, deep learning, and some domain specific, like NLP, computer vision. And in your projects, I think we should highlight the high impact, large scope projects, especially if your project has specific like business metrics, like show the numbers that maybe you saved money for the company, generate more revenue, and I think those are the most eye-catching and impressive things
to add to the resume. All right. Are there any new skills that are coming into demand for ML roles? Anything new that ML engineers are learning? Any new skills that they are picking up today?
I feel like depending on everyone is learning. The whole thing is the whole community is also developing like new stuff. So in general, I think as a machine learning engineer, you should always keep on top of the state of the art technologies and try to convert like a piece of the new technologies into your own team, to your projects, I think. And in terms of like interviews, I feel like there's a more and more emphasis on deep learning. And so historically, I feel like if you launch a large model, from the performance wise, the tree-based model is like XGBoost. It's very popular. It's super powerful and also scales very well. And nowadays, because the companies are taking more and more like unstructured, complex data sets, like images, like text data. So and I feel like in these and of course like graph data, like you have especially you have like a social networking kind of data. And you have a graph data, so you could do like graph machine learning. So in these scenarios, deep learning is going to play a more and more important role. It's very versatile, usually creates better results than something like XGBoost. So I feel like that it's shifting toward that way. But that's only applies to if someone wants to do a model developing, emphasized a machine learning engineer. If you want to do more like infrastructure, probably you don't have to. But actually, if you're doing, we're also hiring a lot of people who are experts of like TensorFlow serving, yeah, so serving scalability, if more people are doing deep learning, then the whole sort of ecosystem has to be built to fulfill the needs of the company. So yeah, I think the short answer is
Thank you. Yes, that was very helpful.
for the deep learning side. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Key, you're at Airbnb. So, what's your experience, interviewing with the MAANGs? Have you interviewed at any other top tier companies? Anything that you would like to highlight about your personal experience, with these top companies? Also, have you only interviewed in ML or has it been in any other role? So, we'll just like to, I'll just give you like 5 minutes to talk about your experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. My interview experience, right?
Your interview experience.
Yeah. So yeah, for the fan companies, I think I've interviewed for most of them.
Okay.
Facebook. I never interviewed with Apple,
Okay.
but I did interview with Amazon, and it's for Netflix. I didn't. I never interviewed with Netflix.
Okay.
I did interview for Google.
Google. Okay.
And besides.
What?
Except for Facebook. Yeah.
Were they in ML or was it for any software engineering role?
Yeah, for Facebook, I interviewed for both MLE and data scientist. I failed in the MLE interview, but I got passed in the data scientist.
Okay.
For Amazon and Google, I interviewed for MLE positions. Amazon is like the applied scientist. I think it's just another way for they also have MLE positions, but I feel like applied scientist is MLE who's more focused on like the applied machine learning, developing the model kind of stuff. So yeah, I think for Amazon and Google, I did only the MLE interviews.
Okay, so what are the most important things to prepare for while you're interviewing for ML roles? So you can also tell us about, when you answer this, we would like to hear your experience with Amazon, Google, and Airbnb as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. So if you look across like the different companies, there, I think the like most of fundamental stuff, like the three most important like pillars of the interview are the coding and ML system design and behavior question. So I like different companies, they have different setups. So but I think they're all around these three pillars. So coding is like I think the basic of the basics. You also do the similar things as software engineers. I usually get the question of is the requirement, is the bar for general software engineer and machine learning engineer in terms of the code the same? I mean, my short answer is roughly the same. It's about the same. So, and with that said, a lot of people go ahead and prepare for like the hard questions on lead code. I actually I never did that. I did some of the hard level questions, but I focused more on the like medium level questions on lead code. So yeah, I mean.
So you're saying there was not a lot of difference in the Amazon, Google, and Airbnb interview rounds when it was for Emily. Okay.
Yeah. So the difference is for Amazon, their interview is like half of the whole interview is on leadership principles, Amazon leadership principles, behavioral questions.
Okay.
So for Facebook or Google, if you're interviewing for like 5 rounds, then one of the rounds is around behavioral questions.
Okay.
So you prepare for like 3-4 stories at most.
Okay.
And for Amazon, if you're interviewing for 5 rounds, each of these rounds, half of them is on technical, half of them is on the leadership principles or the behavioral questions. So if you expect like 2 questions in each of the 20 minutes, then you're going to be telling like 10 different stories. So yeah, that's it's very leadership principle sort of heavy. But yeah.
And Airbnb?
For Airbnb, the coding, the system design is a little different. So I think for but by the way, for Facebook, for L5 or above machine learning engineers, we have both the MO system design and general system design,
Okay.
like just what the software engineers do. Yeah, for Airbnb, we have like a MO experience, which is like you tell the interviewer about a past projects that you have done before, and that's going to be more technical and a lot of, and we also have asked some technical behavioral questions like related to how you handle the difficulties in your past and those kind of problems. We also have Airbnb fashioned like leadership principle. Behavioral questions. Yeah, I mean, different companies they have their different like culture. I mean, probably the recruiter is going to work with you to prepare for those. But if you can take a quick look at their different culture, what they're highlighting, you'll notice that it is a little different. Yeah.
So, Ki, what do interviewers expect in an ML understanding or an ML system design round? And how heavy is the focus on system design? You also mentioned that there's general system design and there's ML system design,
Right.
What is the difference there?
Right. For general system design, people focus on how you build a scalable system. So to be able to build the whole scalable system all the way from the client, like the end users, to the backend where you store your data, right? You have to build this whole thing. And the main concern is what kind of database you use, where you put the load balancers, how you scale your system to make sure that it's low latency, it has good, high throughput, right? So, and there are many components in this design. Maybe if you look at one of these components, it could be driven by machine learning, right? So, for example, if you're looking at the whole system of Netflix, there is going to be at least like one component there, which is recommending good videos for their users. And that component, if you zoom in it, that is going to be a machine learning system design. So forget about the other like things. If you just focus on this little small problem here, which is driven by machine learning model, that's going to be challenged during your machine learning system design. So with that said, a machine learning system design, if you take the our master class, we're going to have a very detailed explanation this is limited by time. So on a high level, a machine learning system design will be focusing on how you build the model, set up the metrics, and then how you serve your model. So when it comes to like serve your model, it has some components which is similar to the general system design. How do you optimize your performance, keep your latency low, and whenever there's a high QPS, like high throughput, how do you distribute the traffic, right? So with that said, I feel like for Facebook, like they already have a general system design, so that part will be less important. For in our company, that part is more going to be focused on the model itself. So
at Airbnb,
for that part is also, I guess, less emphasized. But for Google, they sort of they don't actually, especially for L5 or lower, generally they don't define, when they hire, they don't define you as a machine learning engineer or general software engineer.
Okay.
You make that decision by choosing what your system design round will look like. So for example, I'm going to be doing like two coding rounds and two system design. And then because I want to do machine learning, I'm going to choose to do two machine learning system design.
Okay.
So because of that choice, during that machine learning system design, there will be more questions around the general system, like scalability, caching, or that kind of questions stressed. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ki. So, how are the coding rounds different? Are the coding rounds different for ML roles versus software engineering roles?
Yeah, I feel like they're quite similar for and across different companies too. The bar is about the same.
All right. Okay. Will there? I wanted to go back a little bit to your experience.
Sorry.
Tell me.
To add a little bit to
yeah.
So sometimes it's sometimes for some of the companies, they have I know at least for LinkedIn and Uber, they have a specific round which is around like machine learning.
Okay.
So it's not going to be like lead code style question. It's going to be implementing some machine learning algorithms. So and those are like k-means, k-nearest neighbors. How do you do those kind of like stuff on the low level? Like normally we just call some packages to do that, but when it comes to implementing them, can we implement those smoothly? Yeah, so that's a combination of some understanding in the machine learning models and your coding skills. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so as I was saying, I want to go back to your time while you were preparing and understand what resources did you use to prepare for these interviews, and what would you like, if you're advising someone who's trying to crack a tough technical interview for an ML role, what resources would you advise them to use? So maybe first we can start with what's available, what's free, and what are these good free resources that someone can make use of, and then maybe we can go to some paid resources.
Yeah. I when I was preparing, I didn't know Interview Kickstart, so I know some of the instructors at Interview Kickstart. A lot of our instructors, they're like alumni. They used to work here as a student, and then they got an offer, and they're so happy, and they returned as instructors. In my case, that's not the case. I started with like all free material, so I feel like for coding, lead code is the most important one. I still do some of the lead code exercise myself. It's just a very good platform for you to solve the challenges end to end. For system design, so some of these materials like grokking system design, it's quite popular, but it's all like written material. There's no like video. Sometimes it could get a bit frustrated when you want to ask someone, oh, what is this about? And it's kind of hard to ask that question. So and I also followed some books, system design books, and also I've been following the Airbnb and Facebook machine learning ML blogs. So they're going to inside these blogs, they're going to sort of publish their latest projects, which are interesting in machine learning, how they build the model, how they solve some scalability issues. So yeah, those are the main resources.
All right, great. So does somebody need to have experience with ML deployment platforms like AWS, Azure, GCP, etc., to get into a MAANG company?
Yeah, I feel like for the large companies, the short answer is no, because they just have a very mature, infrastructure that, like, if you're working for Google, GCP is built by them, so they trust their engineers to, once they're hired, it should be a very smooth learning curve for them if they want to do some of the platforms. For smaller companies, especially startups, they want to like sort of make an impact from at day one, and maybe they want to actually build something from scratch. So
Yeah.
they seems to have more emphasis on using these platforms, as they're going to ask you, have you have like direct experience on these platforms, because our product is going to be built so like around it. Yeah, before like large companies, that's not going to be. It's good to state that like most of these machine learning models, you can't like avoid like using AWS or GCP, Microsoft Azure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you talk about your past experience, sometimes it's kind of inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you have like zero experience of using these
Okay.
platform, it's still
It's not a deal breaker.
You're
Yeah.
using some
Yeah.
alternative, like maybe some other tools built in your in your own company. That I don't think that's a problem for large companies.
All right. So you mentioned, about applying for a data scientist role in one of these companies. Can someone transition from a data engineer or data scientist to an ML engineering role? And how difficult or easy that transition is? Are they similar roles, and that's why people transition? What's your take there?
Yeah. My philosophy is, if you want to make a transition, you want to make a transition earlier in your career. And the reason is sort of like related to the leveling issue you mentioned earlier, you raised earlier. Like if I'm already like L6 or above, and I want to make that transition, and then suddenly I feel like I have like less experience in I have a lot of experience in data scientist as a data scientist, but less of, so maybe I'm not going to be considered as a equivalent like level 6 MOE. That's natural to happen. So I encourage the people to like, if you want to make a such transition, do that as early as possible. But can we do the transition? I think the answer is definitely yes. So if you look at the interview preparation, what's missing is, as a data scientist, I mean, data science has many different branches. So sometimes they're more focused on like the analytics. They are experts in doing like A/B testings. They're experts in statistics. So and if you look at some of the machine learning engineer roles, they also challenge you. So some of these statistics questions or A/B testing fundamentals, but that's going to be like a small part of the interview. And another like sort of route for data scientists will be more on the algorithm model developing. Like those roles are more like the modeling focused machine learning engineer roles. So if you look at the interview preparation, what's missing from their interview to from a machine learning engineer interview is the coding and potentially general system design, right? So your model developing, your past experience in developing a model pushed it to business use and show some good business related results are already, you already have like half of the work done. So if you can focus on preparing for the coding rounds and system design rounds when it's necessary, right? So I know as I said earlier, Facebook definitely requires for that, but some companies they don't require general system design for machine learning engineers, especially for lower levels. So yeah, I feel like just if that's the case, just prepare for some lead code problems, and then I think data scientists are well eligible for transferring to machine learning engineers.
Okay, but what would be your advice? Should someone pick data scientist or ML roles?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I can't speak for
more like, what is the long-term outlook, for ML, and what's the long-term outlook for data scientists? What do you think is
right?
If say I tell you, Ki, I want to, I'm confused which one I should pick. What pays more?
Yeah, I think eventually it's going to be a problem of your personal development. So and your personal interest. So say so some people they just want to make like a like sort of short-term decision because I'm comparing a data scientist role and a machine learning engineer role, and now a machine learning engineer role looks better, maybe it pays better, maybe it has some other short-term like tangible advantage, and then I'm going to choose that, even though my real like personal interest lies more in the data scientist side. So I feel like though when we make a decision, we have to make like long-term decision for ourselves. Like if you joined the role that you are most I wouldn't say capable of, like you're really interested in, you're just energetic about your daily work you do, and maybe soon you can get a promotion. And who knows, like after after several years you realize that you're well ahead of the other route you're going to choose. So I mean if I it's going to be hard for me to like have an outlook of the whole job market. I mean, I can only speak for like what I can see now. I mean, when we launch like a big machine learning project, it's going to be a combined work of machine learning engineers and data scientists. Even though like the managers and the product managers, engineering managers, data engineers, so it's going to be although there's a high demand, so it looks like machine learning engineers are getting more emphasized or are hired. But I mean things could change, right? Also, if you look at the machine learning engineer roles, they have a very broad spectrum. Some people focus more on the modeling, some people focus more on the infrastructure. So sometimes if you just but if you just compare like count how many machine learning engineer roles, because they're just a more like broader sort of scope. So it looks like more. But I feel like data scientists are as important for like the business decisions that companies are making, and I always enjoyed like working with some of them, even for the modeling side. They're like experts in deep learning too. They just didn't pick to do a lot of like engineering work. They want to they have a very fast thinking, and they have a whenever issued assigned with new projects, they can build a prototype in a notebook very quickly, and then show the impact, present to people. And I think that those are very important. Sometimes because machine learning engineers, eventually you want to build this thing to push into production, make it very high standards. But in the early phase, especially when we want to do some experiments to sort of get the support from the rest of the team, like you got to have those like smart data scientists to do prototyping and show people what the real value is of initiatives.
All right. So last question.
So sorry.
No, definitely. That's so helpful. Key last question for you, and then I'm going to let you go because it's Monday evening and you have probably an early start tomorrow. So what is the life of an ML engineer? Of course, you also teach with Interview Kickstart. You're an instructor here. But what's your typical day like, at work?
Yeah. So I think it really depends on the leveling. So I'm an individual contributor. So and I'm currently a senior level, so like L5. So typically 70% of my time is on like individual contributing, just engineering type of work. As you move up the when you become more high level, because you have more scope, you have
Yeah.
more duties.
Yeah.
So actually, I feel like you're going to spend like more time on like meetings, like mentoring other like junior
Mm-hmm.
engineers, interacting with engineering managers, cross-team functionality,
Mm-hmm.
and just to connect the dots and work with other teams because you have more projects and more scope. So I feel like as an individual contributor, the ratio of individual contributing will go down as your level go up, and eventually some people might just make a decision of being transferred to a manager.
Okay.
Some people they like to stay as individual contributor. Yeah, but if you look from my personal experience, the L7, L8 engineers, their meeting are booked very densely if you look at the calendar. So I feel like the ratio of individual contributing, like the engineering side, is going to get like less and less as you
Mm-hmm. So is it important to transition to a managerial role once you go to 6, 7, L8, or can you be an IC?
Yeah, I mean, there are different. Well, once you are L6 or above, you start to make that decision.
Yeah.
And normally, there are three sort of like in most of the companies, three different paths. So an engineering manager path, a tech lead manager path, and you stay as an individual contributor. So yeah, I mean, depends on your personal preference. Some people, they just like to stay as a individual contributor. They don't want to do a lot of like people management. So maybe you're going to stay on a tech lead manager or even just individual contributor. Yeah, but for some people thinks that I'm an L6, L7, L8 individual contributor, but I'm just having all my day having these meetings. So why don't just change to a engineering manager role? Yeah. So yeah.
So at Interview Kickstart, also in our team, we have the option to grow on an IC ladder. We could an IC could have a manager who they report into, who's at a lower level, but the IC could grow up to a higher level and still work within the team and report to a manager. So that's how we have structured our rubrics in IK internally within our team.
Oh, cool. That's
yeah. All right. On that note, Ki, I am done. I enjoyed this conversation. I think it was so helpful, and it's going to be really helpful for everybody who's going to be watching this. Thanks a lot for your time. Any closing comments?
Not really. I just wish everyone to have a happy 4th. This is July 4th.
Yes. All right.
It was really nice talking with you.
Same here, Ki. Thanks a lot for your time. Bye-bye.